Thank you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Today on the show, we have an exciting show. Last week, if you caught the episode, we had Dr. Tom Schneider that gave us tons of value. I think I figured out I was doing everything wrong for the past 41 years. And we actually loved him so much, we invited him to come back as a special guest co-host. So we'll actually be right back with special guest Dr. Tom Schneider. And our guest tonight is actually entrepreneur and real estate guru, Amy Norris. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And many of you know last week we had Tom Schneider on the show, and thank you for being back, Tom, and being our co-host
Oh,
tonight.
I love it. It's a joy, and I really mean that. It's great.
Well, you know, since we talked last time, I tried a few things. What I realized is I was doing everything wrong, and I wanted to ask your opinion about juicing. You know, last time you talked about a cup full of vegetables or a cup full of fruit, and at that time I was thinking in my mind, oh my gosh, I'm doing everything wrong, because probably 75% of my nutrition program is juicing at this point. And thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you left, when I left last visit thinking that you had messed up, then my job is done.
Okay, perfect.
No, you know, the juicing's great. The problem with juicing is that it's, whether it's a vegetable, whether it's a fruit, all of those are what? You've got a choice. Are they meat, poultry, fish? No, they're sugars. So sugars raise those hormones we were talking about. So juicing is great. I love it. There's no bad food. We talked about it. But juicing should be a treat, like a Snickers bar, not a full-fledged meal, believe it or not, because it's high, high, high sugars.
Well, I figure instead of trying to figure out on my own, I'm just going to come see you and get some tests done.
That's why I wore the hat tonight.
Okay.
I wore the hat.
I noticed that.
Yeah, we got to give the Navy a little
plug.
Hoorah.
Well, I'm excited about our guest
tonight.
We have Amy Norris, who's a real estate guru, entrepreneur, and we're really excited to have her. There's so many misconceptions about the housing market, and it's so easy to blame things on the economy, this, that. And I thought, you know, what better way to answer these questions than bring a professional out and really have them answer the questions and all the mysteries and some of everything. So let's bring out our guest, Amy Norris.
Hi, Amy.
A pleasure to meet you, Dr. Tom.
My pleasure. Come sit.
Pleasure.
Pleasure to see you. Good,
You
Dan.
too. Now, Amy, let me ask you a question. I know that you have been top of the top of the top. I can't even tell all the... I was doing some research on all the awards that you've been winning and all that. But let's just say from Meyer Real Estate at Century 21, they've awarded you not only top in their in the office, but top in the entire Gulf Coast, in the southern region, I believe. And that includes the entire state of Alabama, South Florida, or is it North Florida, southern Georgia. It's a huge area. And, you know, we want to bring you out and share a little light on what's happening in the market. As I was telling the doctor here, it's so easy to use the economy as a scapegoat and say, well, you know, the housing markets went to pot, there's no one doing this or that. But how do you feel about the economy right now as pertaining to real estate? You think it's a good market, or?
Well, it's definitely a great time to buy. And of course, everyone would think that, oh, of course she's going to say that she's in real estate. But if you look at the facts, Dan, it really is. For example, just from a loan perspective, if someone has to go out and get a loan, mortgages used to be 12%. Now they're down into the high threes. So you really are being able to leverage your money. And then also the fact that prices have dropped so much, we're now at values, the way the values were from like 1999 to 2003.
Yeah.
So you could really get a good bang for your buck.
Yeah. You know, as I'm sitting here talking to you, I'm noticing that you're quite young. And for everything that you've accomplished, I know that now you've been dealing with properties as large as, you know, over 30 million type, handling 30 million type dollar deals. But let me ask you, I mean, when did you, you've been in the real estate game a long time, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. When did you decide to really get in and embrace entrepreneurialism, become this big force to be reckoned with?
Well, I kind of had humble beginnings. I think my father, he's in sales, and my sisters, they're a little bit more academic than I am. But he looked at me and he said, he pulled me aside and he said, do you want to make full-time income working part-time? Because at the time I was in a volunteer capacity as well, and that was important to my life at that time. I said, yes, you know, I'd like to make a lot of money in a little period. He goes, well, you need to get into sales.
Let me ask you this. You know, a lot of people watching the show right now are more on the investing side, and I know just a few years ago we were paying a lot of money to financial advisors that were trying to get us 8 to 10% return on investment per year. Very high dollar financial advisors that would try to do that. And you know, the statistics I've seen last year, I think it was 96% of financial advisors lost their clients' money. And I think 2% broke even and 2% gave a return. And if you average all of that return up, I think it would probably average somewhere in the 3s. For people that are looking to get into real estate from an investment standpoint, what kind of return on investment do you think that people can stand to make in the real estate game?
Sure, of course, Dan, it always depends on how much cash they're putting down. The more cash you put down, the easier it is going to be to cash flow naturally. But for your typical multifamily property in the area, maybe away from the beach, you can get 9 or 10% return. I do have some investors on the beach that actually do get 10%. In fact, they're pilots and doctors that go in together and they'll buy these condos. In fact, one of the coolest projects we have right now is Turquoise Place condos. And talk about a great...
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
They're
That's
amazing,
right
aren't
on the
they?
beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, they were in one of the architectural magazines a few years back, but they're truly iconic for our area. So well built. Originally, the pre-construction pricing on those was like around 1.2 to 1.5. Well, they were here. Now they're at 925,000. But right now, there's a special $200,000 incentive that I don't even know how long it's going to be available to people. But for $725,000,
Wow.
these condos last year, my company, Meyer Real Estate, got $96,000 of gross rental income for those condos, and this year they're even predicting $100,000.
Wow.
So you know, it can be very good. Not to mention appreciation, but it all depends on how much you're putting down and all that.
Yeah. So whether we're looking to get into real estate from an investment standpoint, or we have a property that we're trying to sell, or we're looking for property to buy for personal use, you believe this market is lots of opportunity.
Absolutely, and you talk about, you know, I've talked about the high dollar properties, but for example, you can get a small duplex for $127,000. Now, if you're an average person, or maybe you're a first-time home buyer, it is possible that with 25% down, you could buy that duplex, move into one side, use it as your primary, you know, talk to your lender for details, or, you know, for a small amount, you can get into investment property.
Why don't we take a break, because I really want to
Okay.
talk about not only foreclosures, but reverse mortgage. We've been hearing
Right.
a lot about
yeah.
that.
I
Stay
wanna hear
tuned.
about
Let's
that
take
too.
a quick break. More with Amy Norris when we return. All right. Before the break, we were talking about not only foreclosures, but reverse mortgages. But Tom, let me ask you a question. Are you hanging with all this? I mean, she's
You know,
moving pretty quick.
I have to tell you, I'm a physician. We're the worst businessmen in the world. And
I saw Tom glazed over a little bit.
you know,
when I was
you know, all I could think of when you were talking about that was my wife considers me a financial disability. So I don't know whether that would apply to the form or not. But so my question to you, Amy, would be what I really love or would love to have as you as my realtor is knowing that you're the whole team and that you're going to be with me the whole time.
Well, we will be with you. There are many steps in the dance and many parts to the transaction. And there are a lot of landmines, so yes, it is. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes we do have to have the talks with the seller. Like, wow, you might just have too many cats. Like, you might need to open up the door, you know, before people come. Sometimes we have to have those conversations, but, you know, whether it's helping someone get money so that they can start on the path of getting rental investments, or maybe selling their property or buying that beachfront condo, we'll be with you every step of the way. Things are selling pretty well. In fact, some people, they get down here and they're like, you're not getting multiple offers. There's no way that these properties are selling, but they really are. And the reason why is because the banks, and I am a foreclosure agent, the banks do use me as one of their agents to sell their property, so I have experience in the inside track there. But what a lot of people don't realize is that when you're buying a foreclosure, if the market's here, the bank lets us set the property pricing here because they want to get excited buyers, and sometimes we actually get multiple offers and it goes over the list price. A frenzy, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that makes people mad, and they're like, that's not fair. It's really part of the game of buying foreclosures, and you can still pick up some really good deals. But a lot of people, they think that list price is a glass ceiling, but it doesn't have to be. Have your agent or me or whoever you have run the comparable properties and the market data so that you're an informed buyer and you know. And there's a whole science to that part of it. The other thing that I would tell people is it's very important to have an attorney look over some of the paperwork. Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned that before, yeah.
Agents,
I wish I'd known that.
Yeah, it is part of our job, but there are things like the bank addendums, they can be very tricky. Like one bank, they like to have inspections start before people even sign the contract. And there's different things that the banks can do, but it's worth that $100, $250 to do that. And then in Alabama, we have what's called a one-year right of redemption. And people can look at my site if they want to know more about that, but that's where, you know, if you're a distressed homeowner, let's say you lost your house, maybe this home was very important to you, you raised your kids there, and you really want to get it back. Well, in the state of Alabama, they allow you 1 year to do that. And if I'm an investor or somebody buying your home, it's important for me to know that I can't just come in and, you know, redecorate it just because I feel like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if you decide to redeem it, you know, within that year, then I might lose money on my improvements.
Right.
But it rarely happens. It's like only in 3% of the cases. So there's more to that, but.
This is the hand walking.
So
that
just
I'm
call
talking
her.
about.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
what I'm, this
that's
is what
the
right.
thing I'm getting. Is
Yeah,
calling
yeah,
me and her
that's
team.
exactly
Right.
right.
Well, you know, we're talking a lot of fancy terms, a lot of real estate terms, and I know that to you this is just second nature, but what about the people in our audience that are just feeling overwhelmed, saying, I don't remember, I don't know what they're talking about right now, it seems complicated, it seems overwhelming.
Well, that's where the Amy Norris team, we can really help people, handhold them. You know, there are a lot of fancy terms in real estate, and there's a lot of steps to it. But we can sit down with you, kind of look at your situation. A lot of people have maybe they have funds that they're not aware of how they could put it into real estate and start investing, or even if it's, you know, someone new to real estate, we'll be there every step of the way to handhold and, you know, explain it to you, help you avoid the pitfalls or the landmines of real estate.
So I know that millions of people are joining the real estate force, I guess we would say, and I know that it's a proven fact that more people have become millionaires through real estate than anything else, and I know that you're very optimistic about what the housing market's doing right now, both for sellers and buyers. But why the Amy Norris team? I know that you and your team have been #1, as I mentioned, in the whole Gulf Coast area. Why should they call you? What's going to be different? I'll tell you, if I can, my biggest pet peeve.
Okay.
We've looked at a lot of properties, and I come from a business background, a sales background, and I appreciate a guy working for me. You know, I want to give commission to somebody that uses some technique, isn't afraid to try to build value, you know, and work for me. And I've been in so many properties where the agent will say, you know, here's the place, and their kitchen's over there, and you know, I don't want to pressure you guys. I'm sure you want to talk alone, so go ahead and do your thing, and I'll be over here by the TV if you need me. And I don't know, maybe it's me, but there's something inside me, the salesperson inside me, saying that guy does not deserve a commission. But why Amy Norris?
Well, there's several reasons. First of all, I will go through that home with you and tell you the good points about it. You know, if there's anything that I saw that was a little odd, or things that you could do to enhance the value, or if you were going to buy it and then come back to me to sell it, you know, the good and bad points
and
of
the
that.
bad.
Right.
Because I'm okay with having, I know that things
Yeah.
break down, I know things get old. I'm okay with knowing that the house isn't perfect, but I want somebody to shoot me straight and say, hey, this is a little bit of concern, and you know, it's probably not an emergency right now, but think about this over the next year. It's likely that you're going to have to replace it. I can
Make sure you
handle
have it
that
inspected.
as long as I'm not surprised and I
Right.
don't walk into this thing thinking there's no problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first and foremost thing is that the Amy Norris team, we are honest and ambitious. That's always been my mission statement, and that is what we do and live up to most importantly. And part of that ambition is I absolutely dominate the market. So if you are a seller, I'm going to give your property the most amazing exposure. We have a lot of internet out-of-town buyers. Have you ever looked at a property
I
on
got
the
my
internet?
property actually
Did you?
from out of state on the internet. I know that from the research I've done,
Key.
that your internet presence is just,
Yeah.
you dominate when it comes to marketing.
We do. The most important sites we dominate that not the average agent has access to, but also too, we have the creative ability to make the property stand out if you're selling. And also, you know, it isn't for anybody selling, it's just as important to make the property attractive and easy for the agent as it is for the buyer. So there's certain things that, you know, you can help with that. And then for buyers, obviously, there's that hand-holding process that we guide and help them. And then Meyer, my company, they handle the rentals, so we have that.
You know, let's get to the business point of the day. I wanted to talk a little bit about emotions. I think that somebody asked me, in fact, the other day, what is your one tip that you can give successful entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs out there? What's the one thing that holds people back? And, you know, I think a lot of times the biggest obstacle that we have to overcome is ourselves. And I think that we were talking about real estate a minute ago with Amy. I think that one reason why people are doing so well in real estate right now and there's so much opportunity is because there is so much fear and panic in the market, and a small percentage of the market is capitalizing on all the fear of everybody else. And I think it really equates to incredible opportunity, both if you're buying or selling. And you know, I was talking to somebody recently about this. I don't know if you've ever really been in a thick fog, but you know, being in California, especially Northern California, you can get into some areas where there's just such a thick fog you just can't see the bumper in front of you. And I was reading that when you get into a fog like that, the components that make up 10 city blocks, so think about a city covered with 10 city blocks of a really thick fog, the components that make that up would actually fit into 1 cup of water, 1 glass of water or cup. All of that would fit into that, you know, cover 10 city blocks. And our emotions, they act the same way. Sometimes we just feel completely overwhelmed with emotions. We feel like, you know, we don't know which way is up. Our financial stuff's hitting us. We got bills coming in, you know, foreclosures, and we don't know where to turn. And what you have to remember is our emotions work just like that fog. If we really saw our problems for the true size and put them into true perspective form, they would fit in something about like this. You know, but they just get to us where we get so fogged out, we can't see what's happening, and we can't see the next thing in front of us, you know. And so, in fact, it's a fact that about all the things that we think about, 40% of everything we think about is stuff that already happened that we can't change, right?
Yeah.
And 40% of the things we think about is pure speculation on things that are never, ever going to happen to. Isn't that interesting? So 80% of what completely overwhelms our thought process is stuff that's never going to happen or stuff that we already happened we can't change. So I know in my team, we have a saying in the office of like, hey man, that's future-based. Hey, that's the past, man, get out of the past. Hey, that's future. And we really have to focus on living in the moment right now, and really attacking the next couple of tasks that are in front of us right now, because if you really kill those tasks that are present right now, the future is going to get a lot better quickly. And even no matter how good you do, you still can't change the past, right?
That is true.
And you know, a lot of people hesitate to get in the game because they feel like if I'm not in the game and everybody loses, I don't lose. But if you're not in the game, you lose anyways. If you didn't get in the game and you're sitting on the bench, you're still losing, right? So you got to get in the game, got to take some risks. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've learned a lot just sitting here. And give us your website one more time.
Absolutely. It's amysellsthebeach.com.
amysellsthebeach.com, or you can go to our website, tuesdayswithdan.com, to learn how to get a hold of Amy and her super team. And Doc, thanks so much for coming back.
Yes, he's been
it was a real pleasure. And
I like keep my pulse on the real estate.
Keep your pulse on the real estate.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's all yours.
Okay, stay with us. We're going to be right back, and we're going to give you final thoughts for the day. Thanks for sticking with us. I wanted to thank our special guest, Amy Norris from Century 21 Meyer Real Estate Company. Incredible lady, learned a lot today. And I also wanted to thank our co-host, Dr. Thomas Schneider, unbelievable guy. And you know, I wanted to talk a second about fear. A lot of times we feel we don't know if it's the right time to buy something or sell our property, or maybe the right time to even take any risk in life. And remember, when you start feeling overwhelmed, we don't know what to do, I call it paralysis by overanalysis. Isn't that what we do? We think about our situation so much that we just, what if this, what if this, what if this? We almost paralyze ourselves to where we become very reactive instead of proactive, and I call it paralysis by overanalysis. We get into such a frenzy we can't make any move, good or bad. So the next time we're feeling like that, the next time we're feeling fogged out, remember all of this, all these problems, if put into their true perspective size, probably fit in one glass of water. And don't get fogged out, but approach your problems head on. It's going to work out much better for you. I also wanted to invite you to an amazing event. There's going to be a 3-day business boot camp on strategies, how to improve your business, marketing, sales, SEO, all kinds of things. It's going to be an amazing event right here in Orange Beach, Alabama, right from Carib. And information is right on our website. And make sure to get your tickets early because seats are limited and they are filling up fast. So we want to invite you to that. Thank you very much for being with us. I wanted to say get involved in your local communities and don't forget to be forgiving of others. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night.